Well, I was just in the middle of building out this Siebel production environment, so I figured I'd record it so that others can use it as well. So all I did so far was create a Siebel production FSM category by adding new category. And then I went onto that category and I added a couple new child services. So I created these child services. And you can see the one for app, web, and end user there. I'm going to just top this off by adding a new local service. And I call this one database. Okay, so now I have a container, and I want to make sure that I label this as DB so that it's specified right in my workflow, which you'll see in a little bit. All right, so now I have a bunch of blank containers. If we go to our service operations console, I can see that I do have a Siebel production. If I select my services, I should have a Siebel production service in here right now. Okay. And what I'll do with that Siebel production, you'll see there's nothing in the folder, so no transactions, no dependencies. Okay, so the first one, let's go up to our service builder again, and I'm just going to drop a component in my end user. So if I go underneath the Siebel production build, and I click my end user, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a component to this service, add a specific component, and now because I designated this as user, it automatically go to end user. And I just have a synthetic service in here called Siebel login. So basically it's an FTR script that I configured. And all it does is logs into Siebel every 5 minutes and does a playback. Okay, so I'm going to put the FTR result in there. All right, so now something's in databases, so I don't have anything in databases yet. So let me go find my Siebel production database. So if I go up to databases, I know I have an Oracle database for my Siebel production, and then I could look down here. There's my Siebel prod right there. So that's the database I want to go after. So I'm going to just copy that. I'm going to go back to my service builder now, and I'm going to put in that Siebel prod. So databases, and then I'm going to add the Siebel prod environment in there. Okay, so far we're about 2 minutes in, so I want to make sure I keep track of time here because I want to show you that customization at the end. Okay, so Siebel prod, and that's what we're going to choose, that DBO agent model. So that gives us a good database in there. Need some application servers. So I want to go ahead in and click on the plus next to application servers, add components, specific components. And now again, it's just going to pick my application service objects. So what I want to do is I want to search in here or Siebel and make sure I pick those right objects. So here's some Siebel group components, and yeah, so I think what I'm going to do here is pick out these Sieble server summaries. Okay, Siebel server. That's what I wanted, Siebel server agents. So these agents here, if I look on my architectural diagram, these are all Siebel application servers. So I'm just going to pick all these Siebel application servers and add those into my group, and then we'll be monitoring those. So all the Siebel server agents. So unselect all, Siebel server agent, that's the ones I want. And this will give me the top level object for Siebel servers. Okay, and I'm just going to put a couple in there now, but you would add all of your Siebel servers in that you had. Now the only thing that's not filled up now is my web server. And all I'm going to do on the web server for now is I'm going to go ahead and add in the adding components to this service, specific component. And I don't have any web agents on the Siebel server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add some host agents. And on the host agents, I'm going to add SBLW. They're my Siebel web servers. And I'm going to go ahead and search for a couple of those and just put them in there. So basically what I'm going to do is just basically host monitoring on the Siebel web server level. And after that, we should be complete. We should have our good lists. So W01, these are all my web servers, all the early on things. Okay, So now I have a bunch of full buckets here, and what I'll see if I go to my service operations console, I'm going to see a couple different views. So what's nice about the views is they're all put together for me. I don't have any workflows to this yet, but they are all single views. So if I want to create some flows behind these, the next thing I would do is I would go up to my my manual mapping, and actually I should probably do this part just so we can see this. So in dependency mapping, if we go into dependency mapping administration and we go to edit service dependencies, and I want to go in specifically for my my Siebel production environment, and I want to map all the dependencies in there. So I'm going to scroll down here. Siebel production, that's the one we just did. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a new dependency. And there's a couple I want to do. The first thing I want to do is I want to take in Siebel production, I want to map my end user. And I want to say my end user is dependent on my Siebel web servers. And then I'm going to take my web servers and I'm going to say my web server. There's a dependency there on my application servers because that's how where I get my resources from. And of course my application server reports to my database. And I only have one now, but I have a separate reporting database instance that I could add too. When I say next here and I finish this up, it's going to create those dependencies for me. And basically what I have now is if I go back to my service operations console, you'll see that I have a logical relationship between all those tiers. So it draws the arrows in for me. Okay, so now each of these service buckets, if I drill into the database service bucket, for example, you see I have a database in here. And if I drill down on that database object, besides having all the basic AIX stuff for my AIX CPU and stuff, I'll also have my database agent on here. What's nice about my database agent is because I'm monitoring the database, I can drill right into it. Okay, so that works out really nice for us. All the alarms roll up for you really nicely, and the workflows are all done really nicely to bring all your cartridges together. So I can either drill into an AIX specific agent, or I can scroll down and drill into my database, and either way it's going to take me to the right object so that I can do further diagnostics. Okay, 3 minutes left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify a problem here. All right, and this one is where we get a little advanced. So if I click on the Siebel server, one of the things it does, it takes me to the default Siebel screen. So this is basically a data browser that takes me through all the different Siebel server components. And if I drill down on any of the Siebel objects from the service operations console, it's going to take me to that same screen. So if I go to the 109 Siebel server here, and you can see that agent is the Siebel server cartridge, it's going to take me to the to that. Now there is information in some of these screens depending on the different components that are running on the Siebel servers. So I'll be able to look at the different tasks they have, or I could look at the SQL statement execution. But the problem here is that I don't want to land on this screen. What I do want to do for my diagnostic is I want to land on a screen where I can look at the alerts, or maybe I will decide that I do want to come in and look at that data. So the screen that I'm really looking to get to is a screen down here called the Siebel Server Home, and I want to go to the Siebel Server Summary. So when I drill down, I would want this screen to be highlighted with the agent that I drilled down on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the workflow, and I want to show you how we do that right now. So I'm going to go pretty quick for this, but you'll be able to pause the video and look at what I'm doing in order to accomplish it yourselves. So I'm going to go down to definitions, and what we're going to do is we're going to change the type flow. Now what I was drilling down on was called the Siebel Server Agent. So I'm going to go into type mappings, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new type mapping. And what you have to do first is look for your type. So I happen to know this is the Siebel Server Agent, and this, like a lot of the objects, will be under this monitoring folder, and I'm looking for a single type. Okay, so the single type I'm looking for is going to be the Siebel Server Agent, so I'll scroll down to that one, and then we'll pick that one off. So here's my Siebel Server Agent right there. So that means when I drill down on an object of type Siebel Server Agent, we have to have that one define a certain flow. So the flow I'm going to define, I'm going to put a tag on this, and this is not in the documentation, so this is something you'll have to remember. This is a tag called drill down header thumbnail. Okay, so drill down header thumbnail. And what I want to do is I don't want to do nothing. I want to go to a next page. And the next page is the one we looked at before. So the next page I want to go to is my Sieble Server summary under my Sieble Server home. Okay, so Sieble Server summary. Now we have a couple more things to do here. Sieble Server summary. The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure I click on Start Diagnostic Workflow. And what this will do is this will give me my cookie trail up top, or my breadcrumbs, so that as I drill into this, I can always drill back to the Service Operations Console. The next thing I want to do, I want the Sieble Server summary to automatically select the server that I drilled in on. So what I can do here is I can add a context, and this isn't always necessary, but it's safe to do it just in case. And context will let you pick the Sieble Server agent. So the Sieble Server agent that's actually being sent in is what I want to set that to. And I'm going to name this key the Sieble Server agent. And that'll make sure that the Sieble Server agent you clicked on gets passed to this view. Okay, we'll save the drill down. And then this is, I missed this a few times. Make sure you click Save again. And then you have your new type mapping. And what I just did on that, if we go back to my Service Operations Console, and you saw before where we drilled in on those Siebel servers. So now what we should do in the Siebel, if I click on the application server, and now I picked one of those other Siebel servers, I'll just go down here, any of them that I pick, it's now going to drill me down to that new screen with that selected agent. So now I could drill into any of the alerts that I want to see for that Siebel agent, or what I could also do is drill into the data itself and get back to where the last drill down went to. All right, so one last thing here. On Siebel, there's a number of different directions I can go with this. So I built out a Service Operations Console. And actually what I'm going to come in and do next for our environment is I'm going to take and I'm going to split out my web server, are all the same, but then I'm going to split out my application server. So I'm going to have a service application servers, and I'm going to have another set of application servers for our sales CRM. And like I said before, I'm going to add that database. So you can actually make these arrows come out and blow out wider. What's also nice too is I can click down the infrastructure. This gives you a lot of flexibility when you do it this way. When you build these out, all your workflows are along the path you need. You can look at the related infrastructure and see where everything goes. So this is really the way you should come at a Siebel production environment, is to leverage the Service Operations Console. I see a lot of people building custom dashboards. You can do that as well, but this is really the recommended best practice. Thank you very much for attending.